love your color. And she would just sit there for a second, you know, and then another one would come by and be like, have you ever had this style before? That at the for like the last half hour when everybody saw two people blow dry my hair and then all these other people are coming by, I was like, what show am I on? There's no way this can be real. So I didn't get to Phoenix until like 10 o'clock at night.
Oh my word.
Yes.
Well, your hair looks nice. Do you like it?
It is.
I do.
Have you ever had that style before?
Is this the only style you've ever had in your whole life?
Will you ever get that style again?
Not from that place. No, definitely not. I will not go back to that place.
It's a nice place, though.
It is very nice, which is unfortunate, but I also don't want to call. I know, but
you can request them online. You don't even have to.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to be weird and be like, I don't remember the girl's name, but can I get anybody but her?
Anybody that'll take less than 6 hours.
Oh man, it was so weird. For sure, it was like they're reviving the show Punked, and I'm on it.
About to come out.
Yeah, and I'm on it.
We're really good at starting. How do we start this?
Oh, welcome to the Fragile Podcast. Is that how we start? Welcome to the Fragile Podcast.
British.
That's not weird.
Welcome to the Fragile Podcast.
Oh, that's right.
I definitely did not say it like that. Welcome to the Fragile Podcast.
Okay, well, now we're not.
We'll workshop it.
Welcome to the Fragile Podcast, where we're learning how to embrace our humanity. I'm Jessica.
I'm April.
Today.
I'm Sarah. It's going to be very human.
Today we're going to talk about parenting.
Wait, before we do, instead of saying like, I feel emotional, like when I like just cry or something, I'm just going to say, I feel very humanly because emotions are part of being
okay,
human.
but grammatically that's not correct, so I sort of can't allow it. Okay, we're just allowing
it. Human?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like humanly better.
Okay. You go ahead.
Well, today we're talking about parenting.
Parenting.
Because we're all parents.
We are?
I have 5 kids. She has 5 kids. She has 4 kids.
We have a lot of kids.
That's 14 kids.
No wonder it's so crazy when we all get together.
Oh, okay.
Can I pick? I get to pick.
Wait, how many? What's the limit? We do love our kids, though.
No, just stick with it. When the older they get, the more that you're going to like them. And then when they get to be Kitty's age, you're like, how did this amazing human being...
podcast for me.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
And then they're like, sure.
Okay, so tell the ages of your kids.
Mild, low-grade anxiety. Oh, my kids are, my oldest is 12, and then a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 2-year-old, almost 3.
Oh, that's like having a preteen and a toddler.
It is. That's
not
it's
even
not like having. It just is having.
And it's remarkable how similar those two are.
Okay, my kids are, let's see, 23-year-old daughter, 21-year-old daughter, 16-year-old son, 14-year-old daughter, and 11-year-old daughter.
Oh, I didn't give my genders. Mine are boy, boy, girl, boy, girl.
Wow, that was fast. Did you practice that?
I mean,
girl, boy, girl. No, it's definitely a talent.
I just kind of know. I'm a little familiar with them.
Now I want to see how fast I can do it.
Do it. Ready?
Boy, boy, girl, girl.
Yes. Yours are easy.
Oh, that is way too easy.
I can do it. Okay, this is where it gets tricky, though. Their ages are 10, 8, 7, and almost 6. Man, I am on fire.
You are on fire.
So what made you decide to have kids if indeed it was a decision?
If indeed.
Was it indeed a decision for you?
It was not.
Why? What do you mean?
I just didn't feel like it was in question for me. I just was under the assumption that you get married, you have kids.
So it was a decision, you just felt like it was an already decided decision? Like, it was just never a question that you wouldn't?
Yeah. Not because you were supposed to, but just like you personally just always felt like I'm going to have kids.
Or
it was because you felt like it was supposed to.
Yeah, like culture, but also I think I would have thought that I wanted kids, but knowing myself better now, I definitely would have waited a long time.
How old were you when you had Nicholas?
21. I was very young.
Yeah, same. That's how old I was when Lincoln was born. How old were you when Katie was born?
I have no idea. 22.
So very young.
Wow, we were young.
We were all young.
That is really young because Annie is 21.
And Katie's 23.
Yeah.
Katie's been married for 3 years and no plan of kids in sight, which I'm totally fine with. You can have kids whenever they want or never have kids if they don't want.
Right.
But yeah, so by the time I was Katie's age, Katie was a year old. Or no, did I get pregnant with you when I was 22? That just rhymed.
She was born in February of 2001.
You got married
That means nothing to me.
You got married in
99?
So yeah.
Yeah, 99, because next month is our 25th anniversary.
Wow.
Oh, that's a big
Let's all go to Disneyland.
Okay.
On you.
I'm okay with that.
I'm less okay with that.
You'll figure it out.
You got a couple weeks.
You're a problem solver.
You got a couple weeks. Anyways, okay, so you just felt like it was like what was expected, and like there was just no question.
Yeah, I definitely did want. I was trying to get pregnant with Nicholas, and Michael. So with my first two, the last two were both surprises. I was not really trying with those ones.
And what about you?
I don't totally understand how a kid could be a surprise, but maybe that's my like overly cautious nature.
Because sex equals kids. So
right. I understand, but
So, like,
because
if you're
I
having
understand
sex-
that,
Oh,
how
then
could
you
you
are
be
you
surprised?
prevent.
Yeah, like if
I was
you understand
surprised
that
in how
fundamental
quickly
concept,
I got pregnant because of
how could it be
Nicholas
like,
and
oh
Michael.
wait, what? Where did this baby come from?
Not like that. But with Nicholas and Michael, it took me over a year to get pregnant with both of them when actively trying.
That makes
So
more
with the
sense.
girls, it did not take long.
So with you, why did you become a parent?
I think same. Like it was just what you do. And I mean, also I like my kids and I like the idea of having kids. But Sarah, I think the same. Like if I had, I don't know, been around other influences or thought differently when I was younger, maybe I would have waited.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think that would have taken a whole lot of, like a whole mindset transformation to think differently about this. So
Yeah.
it is what it is at this point, and I'm okay with that most of the time. What about you, Sarah?
I don't know that I had much thought about it. Maybe for me it was that same. Like you get married, you have kids. Mm-hmm. We went from college straight into the ministry. Actually, we were in ministry our whole last year of college. And so you just kind of like get married and you just start having kids, and it's just like what you do, I guess.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think about it. But Katie was for sure like, we were like, oh, let's have a baby. Annie was a total surprise. And then they said I couldn't have any more kids. And then 6 years later, Taz was born. And then I still didn't think I could have any kids. So we didn't feel like we needed to take any precautions because we'd gone 6 years and not any kids. But then Molly came along. And then after Molly, this is a long story, I had to go in for emergency surgery. They took out an ovary and then said, again, you won't have any more kids probably because you're older and because now you have no ovary and because you shouldn't have any kids in the first place. And then I had Sophie. So so Katie was planned and the rest were like, whoa, we have a kid. Whoa, we have a kid. Whoa, we have a kid.
Do you think along with those ideas of like, it's just expected, you just get married and have kids, were there certain expectations for how you would raise kids? Obviously,
Yes.
like this idea of biblical parenting?
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely. 100%.
What would that have looked like?
Obedience is the most important. Immediate obedience.
is the
Very best way.
Stop.
to show
No,
that you
I will not allow it. I'll get up and walk away. Stop. Ay.
Wait, we gotta spell it.
Oh, stop.
B.
I know you do the sign language too, remember?
Oh, you taught us that.
I'm sure I did.
That's how I learned that. Total flashback.
Oh man. Anyway, okay.
So other than the songs, what does biblical parenting look like?
Okay, well, what were we told that it looked like, or what? do I think it
What was
looked
this
like?
idea of biblical parenting, and then we'll talk about like how we have changed our thinking.
Okay, so for me, I think what I was taught, like the main components of biblical parenting were obedience is demanded, and there's nothing, you don't expect anything less. And because of that, you spank your kids to make sure that they learn how to obey. And if your kids learn how to obey when they're 2, 3, 4 years old, then you've basically taken care of everything that you need to take
Because
care
then they will learn how to obey God. They will
Yes.
have learned the authority, the power structure, and where they fall within that.
Yes. And then they'll be fine.
Yeah.
You're setting them up for...
But if you don't teach them to obey, if you don't demand obedience right away, or the first time with a very good attitude or whatever the little thing was, If you don't demand that, then
I can remember just being, even as an adult, I can remember being so many times like hearing someone say, oh, well, that kid obviously never got spanked when they were little. I remember thinking that myself many times. Well, obviously that kid never got spanked, you know, when I was like all self-righteous.
Sarah, what about you? What biblical parenting, what does that look like?
I think the exact same. Like there wasn't really anything else besides that. You spank when they're little so that it's almost like so you don't have to do anything past the age of like 4. Like I remember being told like if you do it the right way, if you spank the right way, if you teach them obedience the right way, after about 4, then you don't really have to do it anymore.
Yeah, but those early years were super, super crucial.
Yeah.
In like laying that groundwork.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't really honestly remember much after that. I mean, other than like...
I remember a lot of stuff obviously being stressed, like you have to take them to church all the time, no matter what. Yeah. You have to teach them Bible verses.
Oh, yeah, memorize Bible
taught
verses.
Them was children obey your parents.
Yeah.
One of the very first verses you were supposed to teach your kids.
Yeah.
If you don't honor your father and mother, then you're going to die young.
Young. Man. Wow. This is intense.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like the one about the ravens were like,
yes.
Oh, if you roll your eyes at your parents, the ravens are going to come pick it out.
The King James Version says.
What?
but
That's not what the King James.
Well, it doesn't matter
that's
anyway.
what all the King
It's
James
poetry,
people told us.
and it doesn't matter. We'll get into that on the Bible study episode.
How to study your Bible so your kids can keep their eyeballs.
Wait, Katie, you would be a good one to say, like, what else? Do you remember? No, she's like, no, I don't want to. The Ravens one was traumatic enough.
Yeah, so that's a bit much.
Yeah, when you say it back out loud, you're like, that's really...
Why did that not sound crazy when we were in it? I need to stay with this for a minute.
But so if that idea of biblical parenting is a little flawed, it's putting it generously. Do you think there is something, is biblical parenting a thing? Or like what is an alternate perspective? Don't you know this up?
I mean, does the Bible really talk about parenting? And if it does it apply to us?
The ravens are going to pluck your eyeballs out.
The Bible has shockingly little to say about families in general. Like,
Not true. I can think of at least 3 verses.
Think of like a single family you would look to from the Bible and be like,
Mary, Joseph, Jesus.
That was a good family. No,
Not even that.
Like, how did that start? Like, she got pregnant before they, were married, and
divorced,
and then Jesus' brothers hated him. They hated him.
I mean, if Jesus was my brother, I kind of get it.
Yeah,
like,
it would be weird, but yeah, I mean, there's no family, like even the very first family that ever existed is killing each other, and like.
Okay, I'd say we're doing okay.
That's exactly what I was just
The point is, the Bible has very little to say about families, and what it does have to say, it's saying to ancient Hebrew families who are nothing like ours. So
in the alternative, when you look at what it has to say about more generally just relationships or how you treat other people, would you say that would be kind of a formula for family?
a formula? No.
I mean, is that what we're supposed to look to?
Are there good principles? Sure. But also, I don't think the Bible exists to give us a list of principles or like a checklist to raise a family or build a family. I don't think that's why it's there. I think it tells us about God. And in learning about God, then we can learn some things about how we treat people, including the people in our own houses. But it's not a parenting manual. It's not a marriage manual. It's not a manual for you to say, I'm being a good wife or a mother. That's not what it exists for.
But if you or somebody were going to say, like, I don't understand how to be a good parent. What do I need to keep? What matters most in parenting? What would you say?
Like I would say, this is what matters most, or you're asking like where I would point them to find that out?
Both. This matters most because...
Do you think there's one thing that matters most, or can there be multiple things and different for other people?
Oh, different things for different parents, you mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that culture matters. Like the things that are going to matter here Does that bother you that it's
No,
like
it's kind of cool.
The things that are going to matter right now, right here, are different than things that would have mattered 100, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, whatever years ago. And then also different things matter in different societies and different countries. And,
Do you think there are like general overarching principles though? Like where we were taught like obedience is what matters most. That we obviously don't necessarily think that that's true. Instead, what matters most?
I don't think there is a one thing. So, but if I were to say a few things that I would say that I know that matter now that should have mattered to me then, is that the behavior, I wish instead of focusing on behavior, I focused on like, so let me just like compare and contrast. So back when my kids, especially when Katie and Annie were little, sorry, Katie, the offer still stands to pay for your therapy. When they were little, it was very much like behavior, like do this, say this, wear this, don't do that, whatever. Like you're kind of like, the mentality was your children are born and you have to like mold them, like get all the bad stuff off of them and mold them into exactly this little thing that you want them to be.
That's another thing, sorry to insert, but the idea that your children were born wicked, horrible, awful sinners, that mentality was a big thing.
And you had to beat it out of them.
It was up to you to
get all that out of them.
To pour enough of the Bible verses in and to put them, surround them with the right things so that part of them
and avoid all the bad things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that you had these like perfectly molded, shaped exactly how you wanted them to be, look, dress, act, speak, whatever.
Yeah.
So I would say now I think that instead of that, what I want to do is I want to see the person for who they are and help that be what it is. Instead of trying to say, no, not like this, not like that. You can't be like this. You can't do this. You can't be like, but instead to recognize that they're all born people. They're fully people from the second that they're born. They're born with personalities and tendencies and strengths and all that kind of stuff. And so what I would rather now, or what I'm trying to do now with the B team, Katie and Annie are grown. But what I'm trying to do with the B team is let them be exactly who they are. And I think really I like steer a little this way and steer a little this way and steer a little this way, but there's less of this like, get all the like, avoid all the wicked and like beat all the bad stuff out of them and like force them to be like this. There's like all this pressure that you have to do this such a specific way for your kids to turn out. And I don't have that pressure anymore. Like, it's not up to me who my kids are. They're born who they are. What I want them to be good human beings. I want them to love Jesus. I want them to care for their neighbor. Those things I think are the things that matter to me.
On a practical level, how does that make your home look different or your home life?
Well, I feel like I'm doing all the talking, but
I told you I didn't have anything to add.
Because your kids are little.
Well, it's kind of, I think it's
you can learn from my mistakes.
It's hard because we all grew up in the very specific culture that we did. So a lot of this is going to be very similar for all of us. So I don't know that I would have a lot to add. I would just say that's exactly what I would think, is that I don't think there's one right way to parent. I think as a parent, you are helping your child become who they actually are. Well, and so it's dependent on, it's really, you're parenting each kid differently.
Yeah, I understand that. And that, I think, counteracts the idea that was really ingrained of the idea, again, of them being just nothing more than little sinners. I remember hearing, like, the at church, talking about kids in the nursery, like, none of this one, but, like, walking by the nursery, there's just a bunch of little sinners, you know, and that idea
so weird.
It's
just
so
like think back and
kids.
it's so weird.
So instead to have the idea of like, this kid is born a horrible, awful sinner and I have to make him into something else. There's that idea compared with the idea of God has already created them to, you know, in a very specific way. And it's up to me to help show them and guide them to become whatever that is.
And I think that mindset just reinforces that as a parent or as an adult, you are superior to anybody younger than you. And the younger people respect the elder people. And so it just gives this idea that kids are less than. They're not like a full human yet, but they are born a full human.
And that's, one thing that I was kind of getting at with if there are any general overarching principles. And I would say respect, in my opinion, is one of those, no matter who you are, what relationship it is. there has to be the element of respect. And that's obviously like a really broad scale, but considering the parenting perspectives that we grew up with, that was very much not there. There wasn't
a mutual respect. Kids were expected to respect an adult.
You respected your elder, your authority, but that wasn't necessarily
it wasn't mutual
expected to go both ways.
Right. The elder didn't, or the parent or the adult even did not have to respect the child.
Right.
Which like gives you room to beat the child and spank them and demand obedience and treat them as less than.
But I think another like back to your other question, like what does this look like then during the day? I think one thing is a huge lesson that I've learned is not being afraid of letting them have an emotion or display an emotion that I would have previously labeled as sinful. And that has been a huge change. I don't know, maybe the biggest change is just letting, like, I think there was a paranoia as Katie and Annie went into their teenage years, like this paranoia of like, oh, if they ever show anger or frustration or disappointment or sadness or whatever, it was up to me to be like, no, you don't do that, and this is why, this is how you need to be instead. Because I've like this desperation to protect them from all these sinful. Yes. Whereas with the other kids, I'm realizing like part of being angry is being human. Being frustrated is being human. Being disappointed is being human. Those are all just human things. And every kid is going to display those in different ways. Now, obviously, like if someone's angry, I don't let them punch somebody else in the face in the house. So I'm not saying like just anything goes. You can just do whatever you want. But I will say that I'm not afraid anymore. And maybe that's what it comes down to. I'm not afraid. That my kids are not going to turn out a specific way. I think it's so much less up to me. I think there's a lie that was told to us that if you do all these things, like it's up to you.
Well, yeah.
Completely up to you how your kids end up.
Train up a child.
And the way he should go, he will not depart.
We can also talk about that in the Bible study episode and how that verse has been so badly interpreted. But anyway, so I think I've let go of all that
pressure.
Yes, of all that pressure and that fear. So parenting out of fear is for sure how I did it in the beginning. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not parenting out of fear.
Yeah, I think that was probably like one of the things I struggled with the most was because I had little kids. Two of my kids are very, very expressive with their actually, probably all of my kids are very expressive with their emotions.
I think most healthy kids are.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's encouraging.
Some are, I think so. But I mean, some are more sensitive. Some feel those emotions more deeply. But I think when you're given a space, I think all humans maybe should be
a little bit more.
But anyway, sorry, no.
It was just really difficult for me because I just felt that constant pressure of like, they cannot react like this. They cannot feel upset. They cannot cry. They cannot like throw a fit, whatever that really means. I have to, it's on me. That's my responsibility to take control over that. Otherwise, then I am perceived as a bad parent and I don't know what I'm doing. And that was a hard struggle for me, probably for the first like 5 years of parenting.
I think I still struggle with the practical side of things, knowing that my perspective has shifted from like I'm not just parenting to demand obedience and to turn my kids into this very specific idea of something, but now I'm okay with, trying to actively recognize who God has created them to be and how to guide them along that way. At the same time, recognizing obviously they are human.
They need direction.
They need direction. They need correction. They need guidance.
Yeah.
And in the practical, like day-to-day of how exactly to do that and handle all that, wanting them to be able to have feelings, but like they can't punch a hole in the wall or they can't just scream when they're angry or things like that. It's on the practical side of things, I'm a little unsure.
And I think the hard thing the hard true thing about that is that every kid, you're not going to like it, is that because every kid is such an individual that there cannot be a one like this practical manual that works for every kid. So it's a learn as you go kind of lesson.
Yeah, but it also feels like by the time we've learned It's like,
is it too late?
That one's
So then this is
sorry,
where
that opportunity is gone.
Try with the next kid.
this is where I can say then from experience of someone who has raised kids and who did it really badly in the beginning, and who also has 2 amazing adult children. I would say that there are some things that trump the mistakes that we make in our parenting. There are some things that are going to matter more than all those mistakes. They're going to matter more to your kids. And because we're all going to do it badly. I think a huge thing that matters more than any of that is a humility of saying, like, I did that. I totally messed up there. I did that wrong. I did not know what I was doing. I totally messed up. I wish I would have done it a different way. Can you forgive me? Number one, that has to be like a practice in the home that everybody does.
With your kids.
Yes, with your kids. Your kids should see in front of your spouse. They should see you and your spouse doing that with each other. They should see you doing that with other people, or admitting openly, I was totally wrong about that. I handled that incorrectly, whatever. That makes up for a lot of our humanity in our parenting. And then also, I think another thing that makes up for our humanity is this idea that because I'm willing to admit my faults and my failures and apologize for them, you are safe to do that here too. And when you create an environment in your home where it's safe here for you to make a mistake, it's safe here for you to do it badly or like even catastrophically badly, that also makes up for a lot of stuff. The third thing I would say is parents who are just not hypocrites. Like, I don't pretend to have it all together. I don't pretend anything. I am what I am. And I'm going to let you see what I am, whether in all the guts and in all the glory. And sometimes it's not pretty, and sometimes it's all right, but I'm not going to you're not ever going to see me in a situation in life where I'm pretending to be something that I'm not. And I would say those things they make it a lot easier for your kids to forgive you, or to accept you. You're not pretending to be something that you're not. You're human and you're not pretending not to be. And so your kids aren't surprised then when they see you as human.
Yeah.
And I just think that makes up for a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah, I think I would add something that's important to me is teaching my kids to be respectful of every human, which means that's going to take in our home, we show mutual respect with each other. And so I think that informs how the more practical day-to-day, day-to-day things, I think. And just I think it's a lot less, I don't know. This is the hard part about being an external processor.
Just keep going.
It's all right. You're in a safe space to say things wrong here.
I can make mistakes.
That's right. You can.
Also, I don't think you're making a mistake.
No, you're just saying things.
Thanks, guys. I don't remember.
I don't remember what I was saying.
That might have been a little bit of a mistake. No, you're talking about mutual respect. You teach your kids.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's a big deal in our home. So when one of my kids who tends to get angry, ferociously,
I would agree with that.
It's important that she knows, okay, this is probably not the time for you to be around people because you might do something that is going to hurt somebody or something. And so our practice is that, okay, you need to just go sit on your bed. You need to take some deep breaths, feel it out, cry it out, whatever you need, but be away from people for now because you're probably going to do something that's going to hurt somebody. And then when you're ready, come back out. We can talk about it. You can apologize. We can work through it. And I think that just in the last probably 8 months doing that has helped a lot.
So is that out of respect? Is it her? Sorry, did you say her?
Yeah.
You know who it is.
We probably everybody knows who it is at this point.
Out of respect for other people, she is going, or out of respect for herself?
I think it's both.
It's all.
Yeah, because we'll ask her, do you want to hurt people? And she's always going no, I don't. Well, depending on the day. But generally, because she doesn't want to be like that. She doesn't want to hurt people, but she does have these really strong feelings. And I don't want her to grow up thinking that those feelings are wrong, but how you treat other people can be wrong. I don't know if that's good or right, but that's what we're doing. And seems to be helping a little bit. So
Sounds right to me.
we're going with it.
What's the worst that could happen?
Also, I don't think there is like this is the right way. I think there's like, this is the best way that I know how to do this with the information that I have now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
With
that's
this
true.
child. I don't
But
know that would work with every one of our
Yeah,
kids.
I will say though, coming out of this very specific culture where there was an extremely specific formula that was supposed to work across the board for all kids, and all you had to do was X, Y, Z, and you would be fine. By age 4, your kids were great. It feels like at times being kind of like desperate for like somebody
Sure.
just tell me what
Yes,
to do in
sure.
the situation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there were times with, should I just say her name?
Sure. I don't know.
With E?
Like this last school year, especially with her, like there would be times where I would just be like sobbing, like I don't know what to do with her.
Yeah.
Because you just feel so lost because I don't have this specific
Can't
formula.
you can't
There's
just
no
take them in the bathroom
cure.
and spank it out of them.
No.
One thing that has helped me so much, and I know there are going to be people who listen to this, and actually my daughter Katie might listen to this and be like, who are you? But there are going to be people listening to this and they're going to be like, oh, that's so like woo woo or whatever. But something that has helped me so much to feel less paranoid or troubled or like confused and frustrated is not that those moments don't happen. They're going to happen.
Yeah.
But in that minute, I don't do anything. I walk away, and then my response my first response is to go to that child. I just did this last week. I just went to one of my kids and I just sat on the bed next to her, and she was like, Mom, I know you're just coming in here to lecture me again. I said, I'm not. I'm just coming in because I want you to know. I just have to tell you, I'm so glad that you're part of this family. I love you exactly the way that you are. I wouldn't change one single thing about you. And we're learning through this together. And I just want to be next to you while we learn. And that right there did more to change what was happening in the situation, which she did need some correcting. But when that happened, that did more to change than any other thing I could have done. Like you should do this and think about this and what about this part, or whatever. And I didn't even give her a chance to respond. I just kissed her on the head and gave her a hug and then walked away.
Yeah.
And I think that's just sometimes for myself, what I need to do. I need to be reminded that this kid is amazing. And is just trying to like figure stuff out, just like we all are.
And I think we underestimate, again, coming out of this culture, how like conflicted they are. Like it's not personal. They're not doing things on purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
And in talking to one of my kids that also struggles with, what did you call it? Like explosive anger?
Ferocious anger.
Ferocious anger, that one. Like they don't like it.
Yeah.
And they're upset after but it's like they don't have the actual physiological capacity to do anything different in that moment.
Yeah.
And that, I think, allows me to parent out of compassion instead of out of a need for control. And that's matters.
That's good. Parenting out of compassion instead of need for control.
Yeah.
Somebody should write that down.
Yeah.
It's hard to, I don't know if it's hard for everybody. It's hard, I think, from like what you were just saying, coming from our background, though, it's hard. Relinquishing control feels like giving up or handing them over to the devil, or like it feels like all of those things.
It goes
like,
against everything, against the hierarchy, the power structure, to say, I'm not in control here. Then like, really, well, what are you for? Like, why are you there? It's like, it just, there's so much to unpack there.
But what if we were just here to be human?
Instead of to be in control. I think that could be
Wow,
another
look at all
tagline.
these sound bites coming out of this episode.
Except for everyone we say, wow, that's it.
We should probably stop saying
we just don't say we're so amazing after we say something smart. Because we've also said like 18 minutes of stuff before that.
That's maybe not so smart. Oh, give and take.
Anyway.
Anyways.
So what do we still have to learn? Deep breath.
There's no end to the learning. And even when your kids are grown, there's no end to the learning because your kids are still just humans becoming humans, And so as they do that, you learn with
also
them.
doing it.
Yes, you're all doing it together.
And I think that's okay.
Somebody should have thought
created
that
this
better.
system.
Thank you, God.
And so you're all just doing it together. But I think you have to be okay. I have to be okay that it's just messy. it's messy and it's not concrete, and that's okay. Like, that doesn't have to be threatening.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to, it's not like a boogeyman that exists out there like, oh, I don't have the answers, or I don't have this perfect formula. Nobody does. Like, we're all just figuring it out, and it's all going to be okay. And yeah, your kids are going to make mistakes, but guess what? You do too.
Yeah.
Like, everybody does, because we're all human. So
Newsflash.
It's amazing how much that concept keeps turning up.
keeps popping up. I just don't think there's an end to the learning. There's like, what do we still have to learn? Literally everything. Everything that's still ahead of me is all the stuff I still have to learn.
Definitely think there's some stuff behind me that I could learn from.
It's okay too.
Yep, that's definitely okay. Can you think of specific things that you still have to learn?
Specific? I mean, I think if I knew them now,
Then you wouldn't have to learn them?
yeah.
This is your question, not mine.
I think like something I would still need to learn is just giving more compassion to myself as a parent. Like, just letting myself realize it's okay. Like, I'm probably not screwing them up like I think I am.
Yeah, I definitely do not fully, I haven't fully embraced that idea. I think because, again, just keep coming back to it, but because of that idea that you were in charge, or you're supposed to be, and if you did follow this formula, then everything would be fine. Then if your kids turned out wrong, it was your fault.
Yeah.
And even like the idea, we could unpack the idea of what it meant to turn out wrong.
Yeah. Well, truthfully, a lot of people would look at us and say that we actually eventually turned out wrong, or they might see my kids. I have no idea. I don't know how you could say this about my kids because they're so amazing, but they might look at them and say they've turned out wrong. I don't know. I don't care about that. Everybody has their own idea of what that means to turn out wrong or right. Everybody has their own idea of what it means, you know, depending on which church you are, in which part of America, they have an idea that says that this is what means your kids turned out okay.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
We're all just screwing it up one step at a time.
Oh, here's a piece of the fountain.
I would say this isn't like an answer to what I still have to learn, but it's just like an extra note for free. I would say I think it's another reason why it's so important to raise your kids in community. Hillary Clinton got made so much fun of by conservative Christians for saying it takes a village to raise a child, and it was like so.
That's who started that?
Yeah.
Well, every Christian I know
she made it popular
that.
here. Yeah. She's not like the first person to ever say it, but when she said it,
I'm giving her full credit.
Conservative Christians flipped out and made so much. They just completely mocked it and all that. But she's right.
Absolutely.
But I mean, again, it goes against the idea of the idolization of the family.
That's
the family
right. That's
unit.
true.
Yeah.
Yep. But I can't even imagine like trying to do this without you guys, and I did for a while. I had to for a while without you guys. And
that's true. Because you were raising us too.
So it's weird to think now. It's weird to know now how much it matters and how much we missed out on because we haven't had that the whole time. Well, I guess you have had it the whole time, but to realize how essential that is, so that you have people that you can, not to figure things out even, but just to say, like, I cried all day because of because of E's explosive temper, whatever you said, explosive anger.
It's like E's ferocious anger.
Or I have literally no idea how to do this, or, and the person sitting across from you may say, I really don't either, but I will definitely be right by you as you go through it, like to try to do that without those people.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
0 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah. 0 out of 5 stars.
Listeners and watchers, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Tell us.
Help us.
If you've parented and have questions or comments, or if you haven't parented enough questions or comments, or if you're thinking about parenting,
and you're definitely not going to after this episode, it's probably a good idea. Yeah, like, enjoy your life.
Also, we might not be able to answer your questions, but here's what we can say.
I'm surprised that people are actually asking questions.
I know.
Do you hear us?
But this is a safe space to ask questions.
Yes.
Like,
we'll listen to your
welcome
questions. Yes.
Might not be helpful, but we'll listen.
We will listen. Sometimes that's all we need.
That's
it's just somebody to listen.
Yeah.
I could use a few answers.
You always want answers.
If you have ferociously angry children, we'd love to hear from you too.
Wait, ferociously angry?
Is that how you
Explosively angry?
She said ferociously.
I think I'm just making up adverbs.
Got it.
No, humanly was the only one.